Hi there, this is Ten. Today, we're talking about a Chinese developer that is facing a lot of troubles paying off his debt. Given that the developer has problem paying its interest payments, many investors are afraid that it will tumble. Due to the size of the company, most investors are afraid that it could cause a ripple effect on the Chinese economy. Just like how the demise of Lehman Brothers caused a ripple effect on the world's banking sector in 2008, many investors are afraid that it will do the same for the Chinese economy. The company that I'm talking about is Evergrande. In today's video, we'll be discussing what are the impacts of the potential demise of Evergrande and how will it affect the world economy. Before we continue, please smash that like button, and if you'd like to see more such videos, please subscribe to this channel. Firstly, we'll be talking about the business model of the company. The Evergrande Group is the second largest property developer in China by sale. It is incorporated in the Cayman Islands and headquartered in Huhai Financial Center in Nanshan District, Shenzhen, Guangdong Province, China. It was founded in 1996 by Su Jiayin. It sells apartments mostly to upper and middle income dwellers. In the summer of 2021, payments due on its debts, estimated in hundreds of billions of dollars, resulted in Evergrande's liquidity crisis. This is one of the reasons for a drop in many stock market index on September 20th, 2021. Secondly, we'll be talking about why Chinese authorities ask its local officials to prepare for a possible storm if Evergrande's ever fail. The report indicates that the central government may still have a limited appetite for bailing out the company, despite the global implication. Fears about Evergrande not being able to make interest payments have grown in recent weeks and were seen as one of the causes for market sell-off around the world. Even though it has resolved its payment on a local bond, it is still unclear if the company will pay interest on its offshore bonds. Evergrande is a conglomerate company that grew to a massive scale amidst a debt-filled looting boom in China. The high level of corporate debt had created concerns in Beijing, leading to China placing restrictions on lending debt, along with a decline in housing demand, appears to have hurt Evergrande. Moreover, Evergrande stayed silent on its $83 million bond interest payment, leaving investors in limbo. It was for a $2 billion dollar-denominated bond that is due to mature in March 2022. Dollar bonds are typically held by foreign investors. Yield on this bond has skyrocketed to more than 560% from just over 10% earlier this year, according to reports. Bond yields and prices move in opposite direction. Even if no payment is made, the company will not technically default unless it fails to make the payment within 30 days. The in-depth real estate firm have another coupon payment due, a 7-year US dollar-denominated bond maturing in March 2024, according to the same data. For the rest of the year, Evergrande has interest payments due each month in October, November, and December. The troubles of Evergrande, the world's most in-debt developer with liabilities of $300 billion, have escalated in recent weeks and roiled global markets. The firm is China's second largest developer by sale and has a huge presence in the country, delving in a wide range of industries. Evergrande have warned it may default on its debts. Investors are watching the development closely amidst fear of contagion that could spread to other markets. Analysts had largely expected the village property giant to miss its coupon payment. Evergrande chairman also told company executives in a late-night meeting to ensure properties were delivered to homeowners and to help retail investors redeem their wealth management products. According according to Reuters. But analysts have said the firm may prioritize domestic investors who are the main holders of onshore bonds over foreign investors who mostly hold the offshore ones. So how will this affect the European banking sector? European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde believes EV's direct exposure to the embedded Czech property company Evergrande will be limited. It comes at a time when global stock markets are on high alert over Evergrande's massive debt problems. The company is deeply intertwined with China's broader economy, and many financial institutions are exposed to the cash-strapped developers through direct loans and indirect holdings. Market experts say a deepening liquidity crisis at Evergrande could send further ripples across the global economy, but they believe the issue will likely be contained by the Chinese government and is not expected to trigger imminent contagion. Quote, we are looking at it, end quote, she said. Quote, we are monitoring and I have a briefing because I think that all financial markets are interconnected, end quote. When asked whether the ECB was prepared for the prospect of a chaotic global knock-on effect in the event of the collapse, Lagarde replied, quote, as I told you for the moment, what we are seeing is a China-centric impact and exposure. I cannot speak for the US, but I can say for Europe that its direct exposure is limited. However, some analysts feel that the company is destined to fail eventually. Embedded developer China's Evergrande situation is not a surprise, given the steps taken by Beijing to rein in excessive debt in the property sector, according to Orion's Capital Research Andrew Collier. Quote, this is all a bit of a tempest in a teapot, which sounds funny given that the whole world is worried about Evergrande's right now. Collier, managing director at the research firm, told CNBC. Collier pointed to Beijing's three-rate line policy introduced last year, which was aimed at preventing developers from loading up on debt as well as deflating the property bubble. The Chinese authority rationale for such action is pretty obvious, he explained. Quote, they figure that if they do not do this, then they're going to have an even bigger crisis on their hand and the entire property market goes into a bubble territory more than it is and then collapse. End quote. The China authority still he sees authorities as likely to inflict some pain on investors to send a clear message they are tired of excess in the property sector. So why global markets are nervous about this situation? Collier said there were two reasons why global markets are worried about Evergrande's troubles. Firstly, the global financial crisis in 2008 was a property-related, he explained. It was sparked by a US housing bubble more than a decade ago. Lehman Brothers, the world's fourth largest investment bank at the time, underwrote tens of billions of dollars worth of security backed by risky mortgages during a US housing bubble. The bank eventually collapsed, have filed the largest corporate bankruptcy in US history. The bankruptcy splits over to other banks triggered the global financial crisis. Still, the current situation in China is different from that of 2008, according to analysts. Quote, they have direct loans to developers that are problematic, but do not have a whole bunch of capital sitting around with a bunch of traders making up backed securities. End quote. Furthermore, the Chinese authorities also have ways of manipulating the banking sector. That could come in the form of indirect cash injections from the People's Bank of China to the banks or through forcing state proxies to step in and aid Evergrande, which the analysts say is probably what's going to happen. The other area of concern for investors is the importance of China's property market to its overall economy, as well as the physical health of local governments, Keller said. That means there are crises in the property sector which translates into problems within the Chinese economy, causing an impact on areas such as global iron ore price and consumption of goods. Moreover, a short seller said that the crisis was a long time coming. Andrew Leaf, an American short seller banned from trading in Hong Kong for a damning report he wrote on Evergrande years ago, told CNBC that the Chinese property developer debt crisis was a long time coming. But he said he does not think Evergrande's situation indicates a widespread problem for China. Leff, the founder of Citron Research, was banned from trading in the Hong Kong market after he published a 2012 report predicting that Evergrande would soon be insolvent. His 5-year ban ends next month. Quote, the Evergrande situation was a long time coming and China needs to rid this from the system. This is not a limit moment and this is not systematic. End quote. Leff told CNBC in an email. He was referring to Hong Kong Security and Futures Commission, which alleged that Leff published a report with false and misleading information on Evergrande, including his accusation at the time that the property developer was engaged in accounting fraud. Finally, Evergrande decided to sell a $1.5 billion stake in a Chinese bank as it faced another bond interest payment. Ahead of another interest payment deadline, Chinese developer Evergrande announced it would be selling off a $1.5 billion or 9.99 billion yuan stake in Shenzhen Bank to a state-owned asset management firm. The property giant, which is buckling under the weight of more than $300 billion in debt, has been struggling to raise funds as it faced a $47.5 million bond interest payment deadline. The embedded real estate giant also owed payments to banks and suppliers. Evergrande has earlier already disposed of $1 billion yuan worth of shares in Shenzhen Bank. In a statement, Evergrande said that its liquidity problem has already adversely affected Shenzhen Bank in a material way, introducing the purchaser, the state-owned Shenyang Shenzhen Financial Investment Group, will stabilize the operations of the bank, Evergrande said. In a bid to ease its cash crunch, Evergrande is making ongoing efforts to sell off stakes in other assets. It has sold properties units to suppliers and contractors to offset some of its outstanding payments. As of 27 August, those outstanding debts amounted to around 25.17 billion yuan or $3.8 billion according to Evergrande's latest financial statement. In conclusion, many investors are afraid of the potential demise of Evergrande, given that many of them have experienced the time when Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. They are afraid that this will be another repeat of the 2008 financial crisis. So far, it looks like this case is only affecting the Chinese economy. With that, thank you for a nice day. Goodbye.